She goes on to say, let's put it this way. Ukraine as a state, and I'm a citizen of Ukraine, it has died for me. I was very offended that we were treated in such a way. Our family has decided unanimously we don't want to go to Ukraine. She says, but if we decide to go back, then only to Mariupol and not to Ukraine. Also noteworthy considering Mariupol is under Russian control. Civilians are being evacuated from the Azovstal steelworks right now. It's been reported that there's probably been around 650 civilians that have been evacuated from the steelworks, which is an underground bunker system in the heart of Mariupol, right on the coast there in Ukraine. And it's an area that has come under a lot of Russian control. In fact, Mariupol has completely come under Russian control. Even, everywhere within a minimum 80-mile radius has come under Russian control. The only place that still has some Ukrainian troops, specifically Azov Nazi Ukrainian troops remaining, is the underground bunkers below the Azovstal steelworks, which is a massive complex and compound of factories, of storage areas. And then you have the underground bunkers, which go layers and layers and layers and layers deep of these floors, bunkers. We don't really know what's down there, potentially biological weapons stuff or biological laboratory stuff. We don't really know what's down there. It's speculated that there are biolabs down there, but we don't know for sure. We'll probably learn pretty soon, given the news that is coming out of the underground steelworks, because the Azovites, the Azov Ukrainian soldiers that are down there, they were begging the West, the Red Cross, the United Nations, the Ukrainian government, right? They were begging them, saying, hey, if we release civilians, can you please give us medical aid and food? They're running out of medical aid. They're running out of food. Obviously, they need these things. They've posted horrific videos of Azov soldiers who are quite literally rotting alive down there right now. If you've seen the videos, I mean, don't watch the videos if you have a weak stomach. That's all I'm going to say. They're rotting alive. It's disgusting. It's very sad to see. When they've been given the opportunity on multiple occasions and still have the opportunity to surrender and be treated as, regular POWs, like any POWs are treated in war, they have chose to stay down there and hold civilians hostage. And it's very sad. It's a very sad state of affairs. And, there's a lot of media outlets right now that are publishing a video of one Azovstal civilian who was evacuated. Her name is Natalia Usmanova, and she has a family. She has a husband, and I believe she has kids. Natalia Usmanova, her and her husband were workers at the Azovstal steel plant, and they actually volunteered themselves to go down in the Azovstal bunkers when the Russian encirclement of Mariupol and then Azovstal began, because they thought it would be safe to go down there. You're safe from shelter down there. They know the plant very well. So this individual, Natalia Usmanova, and her husband and her kids, they decided to go down there in the underground bunkers. Well, much to their surprise, they were held hostage down there. And now Natalia Usmanova is trying to get her story and her family's story out to the masses. The only thing is, as the Western press publishes her story, they are clipping it out of context. They are including little bits of the story and photos of Natalia to make it seem as though it was the Russians who were possibly keeping them held hostage down there. They made Natalia's statement very vague. They clipped out any of the accusations or of the pointing of the finger at the Ukrainians or the Azovites or the Ukrainian government. And I can understand why, because it's a really damning video. And guess what? We have the video now, and I want to watch it with you. She's speaking in Ukrainian, so I want to translate it for you. It's translated here in subtitles, and I'll read it to you guys. But, oh my God, when you see this video, you're going to understand just how sick the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian Azovites are. Take a look at this. This is Natalia Usmanova speaking about her time and her experiences in being held hostage by the Azov Nazi Ukrainian soldiers in the underground Azovstal steelworks. So she says, there was intimidation. They kept saying, don't go there. The city is burned down. Nowhere to go. They didn't want people to go out into the city. They kept saying the same thing. There are no houses. Everything is burned down. Everything is destroyed. That's it. There's nowhere to go there. It's like, don't go there. Bad guys are there and they will hurt you. So what is she referring to? She's referring to what the Azov soldiers were telling civilians. They were telling civilians, don't leave the bunkers. You guys don't want to go out there. You're going to be hurt by the Russians. They've already burned down all your homes. There's nowhere to go. You're better off down in the underground steelworks bunkers, right? Which is a lie. In fact, there's been civilians that have been admitted back into some of the areas in Mariupol. Peace has been restored in Mariupol, according to the mayor of Mariupol. And it was all a lie to keep the civilians hostage down there so the Azovites could use these civilians for a transfer of medical aid and food down into the bunkers where they would continue to hide out. All right, she goes on to say, we knew about the corridors, which are the civilian evacuation corridors that are established multiple times throughout the past month by the Russians. They knew about the corridors because of the radio. We'd catch radio waves, and knew that there were corridors, but we couldn't get to them. They didn't let us out. We were held in the bunker and simply were not let out. We could hear on the radio, corridor. But how? The militants were not letting us go. They said, we'll not let you out. There are bad people there, and they'll shoot you dead. They will. Well, in short, you can't go there now. And they, of course, said it was for our safety. So come back to the bunker. Come back to the bunker on our own. My husband and I work at the steel factory. Yes, we came there on our own accord on February 26th, understanding that it's a safe place. Of course, we couldn't even imagine this. It's a civil object. It's our place of work. We couldn't even imagine, trust me. If I had understood that this would happen there, I wouldn't have gone there, naturally. No, we went there to save our lives of our kids, understanding that this is a reliable, sturdy shelter that they already weren't letting out. I suspect that they came there with the goal of hiding behind civilians, I think. We learned information from the radio. No, militants were not telling us this. No, for militants to come and say, guys, corridor is there, go outside. No, nothing like that. We knew the info, but from the radio. We tried to leave and they wouldn't let us. Our family has decided unanimously we don't want to go to Ukraine. That's a huge thing for someone like Natalia Usmanova to say. Someone who built their family in Ukraine, who worked at the Azovstal Steelworks. Keep in mind, Azovstal Steelworks is like, when she says it's a civil project, it's a civil structure in Ukraine. It truly is. This is the richest man in Ukraine ran and operated the Azovstal Steelworks compounds. Okay, so the Azovstal area is very well known in Ukraine. It's like a well-known hub of production, one of the major exporting production sites in Ukraine. And it's a patriotic duty almost to be able to serve and work and produce at the Azovstal Steelworks. And now Natalia Usmanova, as a result of how she was treated by the Ukrainian government, her family was treated by the Ukrainian government, the Azovites, the Ukrainian military personnel. She says, no, we will not be going back to Ukraine. We have unanimously decided. She says, but if we decide to go back, then only to Mariupol and not to Ukraine. Also noteworthy, considering Mariupol is under Russian control. That's important to keep in mind, and it will likely stay under Russian control. She goes on to say, let's put it this way. Ukraine as a state, and I'm a citizen of Ukraine, it has died for me. I was very offended that we were treated in such a way. Those are impactful words coming from Natalia Usmanova. Ukraine as a state, and she says, I am a Ukrainian citizen, but Ukraine as a state has died for me. I can't imagine I would feel any different if I was held as a civilian hostage in the Azovstal Steelworks for months on end. I don't see how anyone could feel differently, right? No matter how patriotic of a citizen you are, no matter how much you love your country, no matter how much you love your fellow citizens, and you want Ukraine to be beautiful, you want Ukraine to be prosperous, you want everything to be right in your country. If that happened to any of you, I don't think that you could say that you see your country as a prosperous state, that you trust your country, you trust your government, you love your country. No, I think that if that were to happen to you, you too would say that Ukraine as a state is dead to you and that you don't want to go back to Ukraine. You only would want to go back to Ukraine if it's in Mariupol, which is controlled by the Russians. Natalia Usmanova is speaking facts. She's speaking not just her truth, she's speaking the truth. And for that, her message is being clipped, distorted, edited by the Western press. In some cases, it's just being absolutely censored. Der Spiegel, a major German outlet, actually posted the full clip of Natalia Usmanova discussing all of that right there. But within a day, it, of course, was removed. Der Spiegel cited that they had to remove the clip of Natalia Usmanova speaking these truths because of some issues that they couldn't define. They said that there was some... we don't have a reason, actually. We just took it down. Because if the German people start seeing this in one of the largest German media outlets, well, how do you think the German people are going to feel knowing that their government is potentially going to freeze them to death by banning Russian oil and gas? They're going to maybe make them pay for Russian oil and gas through a third-party country at 2 times the price. The inflation crisis, the food shortages, is a result of the Western economic warfare against Russia. How do you think the German people are going to feel about that, knowing that Natalia Usmanova is saying all of this stuff about the Ukrainian government? She herself, a patriotic Ukrainian, says that the state of Ukraine is dead to her. How do you think the German people would feel about, I don't know, putting up the money for billions and billions of dollars of arms to be sent into Ukraine? Right, the German taxpayers are putting this money up to send these heavy artillery to Ukraine. How do you think they would feel about that if they saw that clip from Natalia Usmanova? I don't think they would feel good about it, and that's why they removed the clip. And that's also why all these Western outlets that are posting photos of Natalia and they are sharing videos of Natalia, they of course make sure to clip out any sections of the videos that indict the Ukrainian government or the Azovites or the Ukrainian military. I can't blame them. They're just doing their work as good propagandists for, the globalists and the Western deep state. But it is troubling. It is troubling. But it's also indicative of just how much of a fabrication this entire U.S. proxy war in Ukraine is. Hopefully, we don't see more stories of civilian hostages coming out of Ukraine like those of Natalia Usmanova's. But given the state of this war and what the Ukrainian military is willing to do, based on what they've shown us they're already willing to do, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more videos like this surface in the coming days, weeks. Thanks for watching that episode of The Dive. If you'd like to support independent journalism, be sure to subscribe and consider becoming a member on my Patreon using the link below.